What's going on, guys? Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. So today I want to talk about why inflation will be stickier than the Fed thinks, right? So let's take a look at this statement. All in all, we expect core PCE inflation to fall towards 2% by late 2023 and economic activity to slow from 3.5% to 0.6%, right? So we can see that even this statement is really not correct anymore, right? Because in my opinion, I do believe we're in a recession. It's just that they want to change the terms or whatever. But basically, we have had 2 quarters of negative GDP, right? So we'll see if we have a third quarter in by the end of September, right? So I do want to give a quick shout out to Jeremy. This is like how I found out about all this information and went to do more of my own research, right? So basically, I don't believe that they can hit this 2% target by late 2023, especially with all these headwinds coming out, right? Basically, so if we take a look at student loans, right, we can see that 43.4 million people have student loans. So basically, I have an Excel sheet that talks about all the debt forgiveness and also student loan forgiveness and stimulus that is incoming, right? So all of this can be considered stimulus because debt forgiveness is also a form of stimulus, right? Because imagine you have someone that has no money because they have to pay off their credit cards, and now you just cut their credit card in half and you tell them, you know what, you don't need to pay your credit card bills anymore. So what will end up happening is they have some extra money which they were planning to pay for their credit card, but now they can spend it on something else, right? So yeah, we can just take a look. So Devry College, 415 million, ITT cancellation, 3.9 billion. So the really big one is the student loan forgiveness, and the California, the stimulus checks, right? So basically these two total about 680 billion. So that's a crazy amount. So I do need to say that all these figures are basically based on my math, right? And it's just a rough estimate, right? Because I didn't count it down to a very accurate number, right? But basically this is just rough figures, right? So how did I get these figures? Basically I took adult working population and then I times the stimulus amounts, right? Which are tax rebates or actual stimulus or whatever it is, right? So yeah, this is the amount that I come up with, and it's about 714 billion, right? So yeah, obviously that is a lot of money, and that will slow down the fight against inflation from the Fed, right? So if we take a look at the states that are issuing it, basically we can see that it's California and number one, right? Basically California has around 40 million people and like 20 million working adults, and they're issuing $1,050 check. Colorado, you should. So I'm going to be focusing mainly on the timing and not really the amount, right? Because the amounts you can see all here, this is the total amounts, right? So but the timing is important, right? So this is why I say I think the inflation will get worse before it gets better, or at least it will be stickier than people think, right? Because right now we have inflation at 9.1%, and then it came down to 8.5%, and everyone's cheering, oh, inflation is over, we beat inflation, right? So now you should see that because there is a lot of pain, then these state governments are basically doing things that are against the best long-term interest of the US itself, but is in the best interest of them short-term, right? Because they are getting trying to get re-elected, right? So this is the same timing as the re-election, right? So you should receive your check by September 30th. And again, I'm focusing on the timing, right? So checks will be issued in late August. So this payments will roll out in March next year. So this is a bit late. So 1% sales tax on groceries through June 30th, 2023, reduction from 6.25% to 1.25% on back to school shopping between 15 and 14 August. A gas tax that will normally take place in July also moved to January 2023. So you can see that they are purposely delaying all these taxes, and the stimulus timing is right on time, right before their election, right? This is how they are trying to buy votes. So I'm not being political here. Every basically senator or government does this, right? So it's not really like a new thing. But I'm trying to tell you that these actions will cause inflation, right? So I think what will end up happening is this is a full picture. What I think will end up happening is we'll have 1 or 2 more months of like lower inflation prints, and when all the stimulus checks come out, it's either we're going to stay stagnant on the inflation print, but I think there's also a chance that it starts to go up, right? Go back up, and then we start panicking about inflation again, right? But I think that panic would be the best time to buy, right? So if things play out my way, then that panic will be the best time to buy. Because why? It's basically a fake panic, right? Because it's due to all these stimulus programs and due to all this money being pushed up, which is a one-time thing, unless they continue doing it long-term, which I really doubt they will, because the states really don't have that much funding anymore, right? Because all their funding is quite strained now as well. So full year residents must issue a main income tax before October of 31st, 2022. So if it's October of 2022, when do you think the stimulus will come out? It's probably in December or January or February, right? So that's why I say like during these 2 months, this future upcoming September and maybe October, maybe even November, we will have lower and lower inflation prints. Shelter CPI also climbing, so that's also something to look at. But I think overall we will have lower inflation prints because commodity prices, oil prices, all coming down, right? And also base effects are kicking in, right? So if you're enjoying the video so far, do help me smash up the like button, hit subscribe, and also hit the bell button and press on all, right? So this will really help out the channel. And also watch till the end, right? Because obviously you don't want to miss any important information. So why do I think like inflation will basically follow a U curve, right? And that is because we are heading into winter, and during all this stimulus release, and that is when winter is, right? And winter will cause a lot of demand for energy and also a lot of issues in Europe, right? So we'll have to like compare and see. It's a very complicated situation right now, right? So I wish I could give you a yes or no answer, but it's not that simple. So Massachusetts, basically the state auditor will make a decision by September 20th. So September 20th, when do you think the stimulus will kick in by? So in June 2020, the government announced plans for new rebates up to $1,500 for eligible families paying property taxes, which will include renters. So measure is yet to be passed. So when do you think they'll pass it? I'm guessing soon, right? Because the election is soon. So South Carolina, eligible residents of South Carolina will receive up to $800 income tax rebate thanks to a new bill signed by government Henry McMaster in June. So they signed it in June. What do you think? I think there will be a 3-month lag before you get your checks, right? So you must file by 1st of November. So that's about all of it, right? So obviously some of it you can see that it's not highlighted because they didn't give you the exact dates, right? So I don't really want to look at those, but basically generally it's all around this time, right? And so this is why I think when all the stimulus kicks in maybe December or January or February, right? This is when inflation will start climbing, right? And this is when people will start panicking very hard again. Oh my god, inflation is going to be a problem. We're going back to the 1970s, and I think that will be the ideal opportunity to buy, right? Because not only are the fundamental issues, I think, will get better over the next year, but also people will be looking at the wrong thing and thinking that inflation is going to climb forever, right? So yeah, that's my game plan, right? So obviously you do have to do your own research before thinking like whether I'm right or wrong. So do your own research, look at your own statistics, right? So I'm not your financial advisor. So next, Bundesbank. Basically, this is Germany's central bank, right? So if you're wondering why Germany matters, it's basically Germany is like a industrial powerhouse, right? Basically, so they cut their growth forecast by half, right? More than half. So this is due to rising food and fuel prices, right? So we can see Germany is really being affected by the Russia-Ukraine war, right? So next, it's actually UK, right? And UK is expected to breach 18% inflation in January. That is absolutely insane. And I would go as far as to say that, you know, this is a very scary time that we're living in, right? Because 18% inflation, these are the things that causes riots, and riots lead to perhaps bigger things, right? And already a lot of people in the UK protesting, oh, you know, how can you raise the energy cap by, I don't know, it was like nearly double or triple or something like that, right? So if I pull up a Germany power rate, you can see that it looks like a freaking meme stock, right? It went from like what, 50 to 350 all in the span of like one and a half years, right? So that is really unsustainable. So the good thing is that you know, markets do work in cycles. If Germany has very high electricity prices, therefore causes a recession, so therefore causes their central bank to tighten up before the recession and cause the recession, right? So let me put it in the correct order. So Germany has high gas prices causing high inflation, causing the central bank to tighten, causing economic contraction, right? So if it goes in that sequence, when you have economic contraction, obviously inflation will start to go down, right? Because aggregate demand for everything drops. So that is the good news, right? And that is where I believe that next year, when we have this inflation, right, early 2023, when we start to have this second wave of inflation, right? Because the thing we do have to note about markets is it doesn't go straight up or straight down, right? And right now it has went straight up, and from 9.1% it's gone down to 8.5%, and people expect it to go straight down till the end of 2023, right? And that is just something I don't see happening because of all these factors that I just noted, right? So maybe when we see that second wave, which I think seeing with the visibility that I have right now, would be the last wave of inflation, right? Unless they have continued measure to try to ease, right? But basically, these states and also Biden is actually working against the Fed, right? So when you work against the Fed, what do they have to do? They have to tighten even more to get the results that they want, right? Which is to bring inflation down. So yeah, that's about all I wanted to share today. If you did enjoy the video, do help me smash up the like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell button. With that being said, have a fantastic day ahead and peace out.